Okay, so then a bit about the general ledger. Okay, so this is obviously where you are in the process now. You've populated your journals, you've hopefully totaled your journal entries, got column totals for each journal, and now you're transferring it to the general ledger. Okay, so a bit of a one-page summary to help you unpack the general ledger a bit better. Okay, um, remember each column in your journal gets posted once. We're not journalizing. Journaling means double entries. Okay, posting means I'm taking it and I'm moving it somewhere else. Just one space. So each column in your journal gets posted to just either the debit or the credit side of a T account. Okay, you need to go and choose. This should help you know whether that column total in your journal is going to the debit or the credit side. Okay, that's a very, very short summary. But basically what I've done yet a bit of a key to help you is say, okay, if you are in the cash book receipts journal, it's a rule. Your bank will debit, so all the other columns will credit. Remember I said in the earlier slide, your main column in a journal balances with all the other columns. Now, the same thing will happens here. So if your main column is debit, in order for you to balance out, all the other columns will be credited. Okay. The reason why I'm very confident and can say that bank will debit in this journal is because of this thing over here at the bottom that we've introduced to you in Learning Unit 2. Okay, the reason is that whole system of assets, expenses, and drawings are debit plus accounts, where liabilities, income, and capital are credit plus accounts. So with this key, I'm able to say then, okay, so if my CBR, I'm receiving money, that means bank is going up. If bank is going up, bank is an asset, it means it's a debit. Okay, you can see this over here. So assets are debit pluses. Okay, and that's why I'm confident that I can say something like this. And you can move your way through the rest of the journals. Okay, so CBP, bank is a credit. Again, bank's going down, assets are minusing on the credit side. So all the other columns will debit. Okay, and the TJ, debtors will debit because debtors owe me more. Debtors being an asset, debit plus, all the other columns will credit. Okay, and you can work your way through the rest. But all of this, it's linked to this system. Okay, so you can study it off by heart, which completely possible, but you can also try and understand it because there's a very logical reason why we have this key on the right. Okay, carrying on back to the left of the slide. So I just confirm there, if your main column in a journal is debit, all the other columns will credit, which means debit means left, credit means right. So that means that if your main column is an entry on the left of a D account, all the other columns will go on the credit side. And the reason for this is because debit equals credit. Okay, that's our rule and the double entry system. So, quick cheat. Figure out what your main column does. And if I say what that means is I'm speaking about this system on the right here. So what your main column does, is your main column a debit or a credit? Okay, by figuring out using this yellow highlighted section. The rest of your journal will do the opposite. Okay, which means if your main column is credit, the rest of the journal will debit. If your main column is a debit, the rest will credit. Okay, that's how you figure out how to put the numbers, round figures, in your general ledger. Okay, something over and above that, the referencing. So how do you fill in the rest of your T account entry? Because there's obviously some names and dates and stuff as well. So take note of the referencing in the T account. The main column typically gets referenced as well as the journal abbreviation. So CBR, CBP, CJ, CAJ. So whenever you are booking over the sales column, capital, all of that in the CBR, you would reference bank. And when you are booking the main column, when you're booking over the main column, so when you're booking over bank, you'd say something like total income, total sales, total receipts, because it represents all the other columns. Okay, but you can cross-check that in your textbook. The most important thing in a general ledger entry is the number on the correct side. So worry about the number on the correct side first before you worry too much about how to complete the rest of the entry.